And I call the member for Lyons.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and it gives me pleasure to rise to speak on the bill before the House. And look, I wish the member for Blair every bit of luck with the amendments that he's moved. And indeed, he referenced the Living Longer, Living Better initiatives by the previous government. Well, they were a response out of, if I remember rightly, a Productivity Commission report into the aged care sector called Caring for Older Australians. The tragedy, Deputy Speaker, was that the Living Longer, Living Better, whilst Australians are living longer, it was no thanks to the Living Longer, Living Better proposals that were put forward by the previous government. It was a fine review, the Caring for Older Australians report, the Productivity Commission report. Unfortunately, the previous government dropped the ball, and their initiatives, much of which were, and there was a lot of time spent by the member for Blair talking about the workforce supplement. Much of the workforce supplement was nothing more, Deputy Speaker, than a union drive. What we believe in on this side, and we've put the money that was allocated for the workforce supplement back in the hands of the providers. We've put that $1.5 billion back into the hands of the providers because it's in our DNA that we believe that the local providers at the local level, they tend to know what is best. It's not up to government to be dictating how or who should be getting what. The money, the quantum of money is there, and we believe that at the coalface, the people working in the sector are best placed to decide how that money is to be allocated. And that's exactly what we've done. We've put that $1.5 billion that was allocated by the previous government into their workforce supplement, which was, for all intent and purposes, a flawed and inequitable system with a clear objective of coercing union membership within the sector. Unlike Labor, we don't believe in a central planning system. It's been proven around the globe not to work. Indeed, allowing those providers to allocate the funds in the way that they see fit is a far better alternative. I just want to touch on a number of aspects of this bill before the House, and indeed, in terms of the dementia supplement, particularly, I mean. The way that the dementia supplement and the shrill cries from those opposite in terms of the changes that we've made there, this was, akin to and of NBN proportions. It was akin to pink bats. It was akin to the Australia Network. It was a program, well-intentioned, no doubt, but it blew out tenfold. The incapacity of those opposite, and to be lectured by those opposite about managing money, it really, Deputy Speaker, is quite farcical. But the bill at hand that we have before is indeed an important bill, and the changes that are proposed are far-reaching and go to, I guess, the challenge that really is the demographic challenge that as a nation we face, because Australia's population is ageing rapidly, and we're looking to develop, all of us, I think, a fairer and more sustainable system, sustainably, and making sure, and the responsibility of government in the context of the funds that we have available, that are funds that come from the taxpayers of Australia. We need to make sure that the planning and that we develop a sustainable system that is able to be funded into the future. I'd just like to touch a little bit in this area around the ageing population and the changes that we're seeing in our nation. And it's true no more, Deputy Speaker, than in my home state of Tasmania. Indeed, Tasmania has the largest and most rapidly growing age population of all the Australian states. And we're talking here about how to address this issue as we age. I reference also good work that has been done previously by Natalie Jackson. She was formerly the Chief State Demographer in Tasmania at the University of Tasmania. Brendan Churchill and also Lisa Denny, who is undertaking the work previously done by Natalie. And extensive research that they've conducted into the challenges that Tasmania's ageing population presents us, and has led, indeed, I believe, to an informed conversation on how we tackle this, and also not necessarily the negatives, but the opportunities that exist with those changing demographics that we're all about to be confronted with. And it's happening right across the country. And in a relatively short period of time, Australia has transformed from a comparatively youthful population to an accelerating ageing population, resulting in a growing level, indeed, of government dependence and support.
Oh, yeah.
Countries like Australia have enjoyed a period of economic prosperity led by the social and economic changes of the post-war baby boom. Our society was transformed into wealthy, healthy, educated and prosperous communities due mostly to the young age of the largest sector of our community. But as the baby boomers enter retirement age, the advantages that that generation has provided us have actually started to reverse. The reality is that in 1960, Deputy Speaker, there was one person aged over 65 for every 10 people of working age. Today it's roughly about 5 people of working age for every person aged over 65, and it's predicted that by 2050 there will be only 2.8 people of working age for every person aged over 65. These are challenges, but they're also opportunities. Spending on health and ageing as a proportion of GDP is projected to rise from 22% in 15-16 to 27% of GDP in 2049-50. As Lisa Denny and her Tasmanian demography colleagues, they've actually got a far more positive outlook on the challenge of this ageing population than some others. Indeed, Tasmania and Australia will need more people in the workforce and increased productivity, and we should be encouraging, indeed, higher skilled migration numbers to boost the workforce. But there are also demographic and economic opportunities for young Tasmanians and other Australians as well, facing the challenge of dealing with our ageing population. Within 7 years, the last of the baby boomers will start to leave the labour market. But the effects of that huge loss to the workforce and the economy will be tempered by the arrival of the new baby boom of the mid-2000s. And we should never forget that the baby boomers will continue to consume. They will continue to be an opportunity. They will continue to be, as they have for all of their lives, a major driver and a major economic driver for our country. This generation, remembering, the generation born in the early and mid-2000s, this other little hump that is an anomaly if you look at the declining birth rates in this country, this cohort will in fact be bigger in total than all the baby boomers. And it makes very interesting context if you consider, and it's an opportunity that as a nation we just can't miss. Between 2003 and 2012, there were some 2.85 million children born in Australia, representing an increase of 13% over a decade. This generation will enter a workforce demanding tertiary educated and highly skilled professionals to stem the economic and fiscal impacts of population ageing. They will enter a workforce not only waiting but celebrating, actually, Deputy Speaker, their arrival. It's why the changes that our Tasmanian state government are making in high school education are so important to encourage more young people to continue on from Year 10 into Year 11 and 12. It's why, Deputy Speaker, the changes that the Minister for Education, Christopher Pyne, is proposing around deregulation of the higher education system in Australia are absolutely critical to the opportunities that present our country over the next 20 and 30 years. I just wanted to also highlight one of the real success stories in my state of Tasmania, and I've mentioned it before in this place, and that is the work done by the University of Tasmania, particularly to encourage, and it's an absolute example of where universities are going to be able to compete in this space, when they identify a gap in the market and when they respond to that appropriately. The University of Tasmania offers a Bachelor of Dementia Care, and it comes off the back of a MOOC, or a massive online open online course that they offer in dementia care, and it's one of the it sets all the records. It breaks the records for the completion rate as far as MOOCs is concerned, because there's no cost and it can be accessed by anybody. Generally speaking, MOOCs only have a very small completion rate. In the case of the dementia care course offered by the University of Tasmania, it's almost 50%. Almost 50% completion rate of the MOOC, and the conversion from those that do the MOOC to the Bachelor of Dementia Care, which now has over 1,800 students studying the bachelor course at the University of Tasmania, which is the third largest course in terms of enrolments that the university has. The conversion rate from the MOOC to the bachelor course, again, is off the charts in terms of typically what is available for those sort of conversions. Indeed, women born after World War II tended to wait until their children grew up before returning to the workforce. Younger Tasmanian women are returning to the workforce much sooner after the birth of their children, and it's true right around Australia. The generation who will need to look after our post-World War II baby boomers will have the opportunity to become highly educated and to meet the demand of aged care services. The potential for this new generation to alleviate the economic challenges of an ageing labour market is great. This is our challenge, but it is also our opportunity with that demographic bump that we see there in the mid-2000s. But it will be the responsibility of the existing and future governments to invest in this still untapped resource of people, particularly during their years of further education and training. And so the government reforms, such as we're debating in this place today, are indeed of immense importance and lay the groundwork to that. The bill seeks to make amendments to the Aged Care Act of 1997 to reflect the implementation of the 2014 budget measures to repurpose the aged care workforce supplement. I think I've explained, Deputy Speaker, why we need to make these changes. The key elements cover a range of areas in terms of residential care, and of course there always is in this debate a very big focus on residential care. But the reality is that only about 5% of Australians actually use residential care. The majority of Australians, I think surveyed there, 70% of Australians choose and would prefer, given an opportunity, to stay in their own home. And I think that's very understandable. And that's why it's important that the policy around aged care also focuses on a whole range of other services that old Australians might access, including in-home care and other things. First and foremost, for those people that are in residential aged care at the moment, nothing changes. What we're doing is asking those people that can afford to contribute to the cost of their residential aged care to do so. Nobody, I think that's unreasonable. Important also to remember that the annual cap, there are caps within the system. The annual cap being $25,000, and the lifetime cap for anybody is $60,000. And those contributions to that lifetime cap include contributions that were made to home care. So any time spent using home care services, if in future years somebody decides to go into a residential aged care facility, that lifetime cap of $60,000 in terms of a contribution to their own care will be those credits. The credits for the payments that they've made in home care will be able to be used. Fairer assessments in terms of mean testing, their capacity to pay, is indeed an important part of these legislation, and a greater choice. And at the end of it all, Deputy Speaker, aged care, and we believe on this side of the House, people should have choice. And it's one of the benefits, indeed, of a consumer-driven system is improved choices. And this is the direction that we would like to see aged care going, in the same way that you see with the NDIS and the fine work that the Minister Fifield is doing in this space. giving consumers choice. And this is fundamentally what we believe is the best thing, that local providers, not big government, local providers are the ones that can make the very best decisions for what people will need increasingly as they age. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.